This thing is pretty fast, dude.
So we just got ourselves a brand new electric dirt bike, and this one's a little bit bigger than the last few that we've checked out on the channel, and it's also more powerful. Here's exactly how the Kooz comes right out of the factory, just partially disassembled, rear shock disconnected. Comes protected in a metal cage, secured at the bottom of the frame, bottom of the fork, and at the top triple tree. So it stays centered and well protected during shipping. And here's everything else that came in the package. Front wheel, user manual, toolkit, bar pad, front number plate, mud guard, front fender, 84 volt 6 amp charger. So this is a 72 volt battery, left foot peg, bar mounts, hardware, and the user manual. Initial impressions, I think this is a very good looking bike. It almost looks like a certain $12,000 bike that I don't think I have to mention to you guys, but I'm pretty sure this is the best looking e-bike of 2026, especially in this price range, this being less than $3,000. Unfortunately, I found some damage on the bike from shipping. The rear bottom plastics are all folded up and cracked, so we're not gonna be able to mount this rear mud guard. I'm gonna reach out to Kooz about this and see if they can get me replacements. We'll also get an idea of how fast their customer service responds. The front axle has two wheel spacers. The slightly longer one goes on the side where the brake caliper is, and then the shorter one goes on the opposite. Now this is the Kooz HP131E. This is the L version. They have two different kinds, the L and the M. L being the larger one with the 19-inch front and 16-inch rear wheel set. And then M comes with a 17-inch front and 14-inch rear wheel set. So they're definitely on the larger side as far as pit bikes that we've been testing recently. This is closer to a mid-size e-moto like a Talaria or a Suron. And then the M version is just a little bit bigger than an ETM RTR. Both models will come with an 8,000 watt powertrain, 72 volt 35 amp hour lithium battery pack, mid-drive motor, and a controller with a 100 amp continuous output. Now they don't have a claimed range on the website. They mentioned 40 to 60 minutes, but it really just depends how hard you're riding it and what type of terrain you're on. If I were to guess, with this size battery, it's probably going to be between 30 and 40 miles. This L model has a claimed top speed of 56 miles per hour, while the M model has a top speed of 50 miles per hour. This bike comes with hydraulic suspension front and rear. Front tire size is 70/119. Rear is 90/116. Hydraulic brakes also front and rear. Front rotor size is 220 mil with a dual piston caliper, and the rear is 190 mil with a single piston caliper. My favorite thing about this bike so far is definitely the aesthetics. I think the plastics look so good and modern. I have zero plans of changing anything about it. It's offered in 3 colors, gray, white, and red, though I kind of wish that they offered more options. The other thing I really like is the skid plate and how the bottom of the frame is oriented overall. The foot pegs don't hang below the frame, so there's nothing to be caught on a log during your trail ride. If you guys want to get more information on Kooz's bikes, I'll have their website linked in the description below. You can also get yourself 5% off the HP131E or any of their other bikes with discount code PATOUTDOORS. One thing I don't quite like about the battery outlet design is when you connect the discharge cable going to the controller, the cover for the outlet is just sitting here loose. So I can see this making a bunch of noise if you're riding on a rough trail. I kind of wish they made it a spring-loaded door, kind of like what you see on a Talaria XXX. I may actually end up cutting this off because that's probably going to annoy me on the trail.
I'm out here in Maryland riding with my buddy Nate, who's on his Ultra B. First time out on the brand new Kooz HP131E-L version. So far so good, it's riding pretty smooth. Suspension's not too soft, which I'm pretty happy about. Just for perspective, I am 5'8" at 180 pounds right now. Dude, this bike feels so much bigger than the last few bikes we've tested. Like, my boots are pretty much flat foot right now. The seat height is pretty close to like a CRF 150R, maybe a KLX 140 RF. Quickly looking at the display, I can see that it's preset to kilometers per hour. First thing I want to test out is the top speed. I'm going to see if this thing actually goes over 50 miles per hour. Top speed so far is 49 miles per hour, which is 6 miles per hour slower than the manufacturer's claimed top speed. I think they say these bigger ones go 55, and the medium version with the 17-inch front and 14-inch rear wheel are supposed to go 50 miles per hour. Either way, it's pretty quick. Certainly faster than like a stock Talaria XXX. It's got a decent amount of torque. It does feel like 8,000 watts. This feels significantly faster than the Yasma Ion 10 Pro that I just recently tested. That is a 60 volt bike though, and this is a 72. Now Kooz might sound like a new brand, but they're actually made by MotoTec, who is definitely not brand new to the e-moto market. I think they've been around for over a decade at this point, making pit bikes, dirt bikes, and also electric pit bikes. So this is definitely something that they have experience with. I was speaking with Kooz earlier today, and they mentioned that the stock controller is actually tunable. I'm able to make changes to the power output. You're able to connect to the stock controller using the Kooz app, which I haven't downloaded. I kind of wanted to see how it rides right out of the box before I make any sort of changes. So far though, I'm really liking it. The throttle feels really smooth. Now as far as the ride, it does feel significantly stiffer than the Yasma Ion 10 Pro, which I think is a good sign because I'd rather not have to worry about bottoming out the suspension going off a drop. I think one of the bikes I rode a couple months ago was a Rex T01, and that thing bottomed out on every single jump, and the front end would wash pretty easily, which I was not a big fan of since it's also 60 pounds heavier than this. The trails are going to be wet today, and we don't have a rear mud guard. I did reach out to Kooz regarding the broken plastic on the back, and they responded to me pretty quickly. They actually already gave me a tracking number for the replacement fender, which I should be receiving in the next few days. So far so good with the customer service. Let's go right and then go to the giant hill climb. I think it's like 200-300 yards, whatever. Let's work our way back down to a steeper one. right, hill climb test. Hopefully it's not too wet. Ooh. Just taking it really easy on the throttle to keep the traction since the ground's really wet. Ooh. I mean, it's definitely got more than enough torque to climb whatever. Oh yeah, this is significantly faster than that Yasma IN10 Pro. Pretty good. I mean, it did much better than the last bike. Traction on the stock tires are pretty good. I'm glad it's got that bigger wheel set. I've been talking to Electric RVA about getting me one of these Ultra Bs, and I think he finally got some in stock, though I'm not sure if it's the right time for me to buy a brand new bike right now since I just bought a house a couple days ago. What do you think of this versus that Yasma?
That's a lot better. It's a lot better than that one. It feels more solid for sure. It's quiet. I like that. I guess it's direct drive, right?
Yeah, it's direct drive. I mean, you ride an RTR, so everything seems quieter to you.
Yeah, the RTR and the Ultra, yeah, they're loud bikes.
So you also have a Suron Light B.
Yep.
How does it feel as far as size?
It feels similar. I mean, it does feel a little, geometry's a bit different. I think I'm used to having taller bars, but size-wise, it feels about the same.
It's weird. It almost seems like a pit bike with longer suspension and bigger wheels.
How much now?
It's 3,000 or 2,800.
Yeah, you're gonna need some protection.
Yeah, I didn't get to mount the rear mudguard on because the plastics are broken, but I got the replacement plastics coming in the next day or two. I probably should have waited, but I could not wait to ride this thing. I mean, yeah, this thing's definitely got plenty of torque. Definitely feels like it's got the 8,000 watts that they claim. Now we're gonna test out the brakes and suspension, see how it does on a really deep descent. And it's hard to get this on camera as far as how steep this hill is. Oh shit, I almost washed out there. It is really wet out, so I just gotta take it really easy on the front brake. Oh yeah. As long as you're modulating the front brake, yeah, on like rougher, rocky terrain with roots that go across like this, it's definitely a huge advantage to have the larger wheel set. Yeah, dude, there's like no tire that's gonna save you.
And then you're staring at a big ass lake. I know it won't happen, but I'm just envisioning myself going in there.
Well, I'm glad we're on these bikes rather than the smaller bikes. So it goes 49 miles per hour right out of the box. The controller is tunable. Kooz emailed me instructions on how to connect to the stock controller and turn up the amp output, but I kind of just wanted to see how it rides right out of the box before I make any changes to it. But supposedly this stock battery can put out like over 110 amps continuous. So I'm thinking as soon as I get home, I might start fiddling with the tune. But I mean, right out of the box, the stock tune feels really smooth, and it's definitely more than enough torque to get this thing up any hill. And I wonder if it'll actually hit 55 miles per hour when we unlock it to the full power potential. But we're not gonna find that out today. You'll just have to stay tuned to see the results. I am not feeling that right now. Let's not fall into the lake. Oh yeah, whatever. This thing is pretty fast, dude. All right, let's just turn around. Yeah, this bike is way too much fun. And this is exactly how it is from the factory. Well, the stock tires have pretty good traction and some real swampy stuff. Honestly, there's not really much you have to change on this bike just to go out and have fun with it. Like, I don't know what else you can buy and have this much fun for $2,700. I mean, what is that? Like almost $2,000 cheaper than a Sur-Ron Lightby? Hey, does this feel faster than a Sur-Ron to you? Like a stock Lightby?
It's been so long, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
What do you got? Like a freaking 75-mile-an-hour Lightby?
Yeah,
It's been that way for years, huh? Oh, so you don't even know what a stock Sur-Ron feels like.
It's been a long time. Like 5 years. Where are we right now? Hey, how many miles do you think we've ridden so far? My odometer says we've done 14 kilometers, which what is that, like 8 miles? I have 7.9.
Oh, wow. So it's pretty dead accurate. And it says that I haven't used up any battery whatsoever. So that means that this thing's got a lot better range than the last few bikes we've been testing.
Sure, yeah.
Well, let's go cycle through the screen first. It's showing 76.6 volts. Oh, okay, so it used up some battery because full should be around 83. What's 76.6 volts? Around 70, 75% battery? That's pretty good considering we've done 8 miles. We've been cruising at pretty high speeds. They didn't really have a official range as far as miles. They just used run time. They kind of advertise the range differently from all the other manufacturers that say, hey, our bike goes 50 miles per charge or 70 miles per charge. I think they've got a pretty realistic claim versus the last few. But from what I'm seeing so far, if you're just cruising 40 miles per hour on the street, you can probably get 30 to 40 miles of range in this thing per charge. It's also got this kill switch, magnetic kill switch, that you can tie to your wrist, which will completely deactivate the throttle if you happen to fall off the bike, which is a good feature to have for newer riders. Or if you have your kid riding this thing, you can strap this to their wrist and just feel safe that the throttle's not going to get stuck on them if they happen to fall off the bike. And when you stick it back on, it's actually switches down to park. You have to switch back into a power mode to reactivate the throttle. We're gonna head back to Nate's house and grab the mini quad and his new 72 volt go-kart so we can rip around on those. If you want to get more information on the new Kooz HP131E-L and M model, I'll have their listings linked in the description below. You can also get yourself $100 off this bike by using discount code PATOUTDOORS. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my bike projects or some of my reviews, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn your bell notification on. Let me know if you guys want to see me turn up the power on this thing by connecting to the stock controller. I might make a whole tutorial video on that if you guys want to see it, but this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.